Where the determination is, the way can be found. Hello, this is Palmer the Coach, and welcome to the Coaching Minute. We are on towards the end of the book, and today we tackle the 8th chapter of The Richest Man in Babylon. And this one is titled The Camel Trader of Babylon. Now, if there were ever an interesting story that you should endeavor to read, it is this one. It is the story of a young man who had borrowed himself out of friendships in the city of Babylon, and nobody was willing to lend him any more money, and he's here very, very hungry. He's walking in the streets and he tries to snatch some figs from across the fence, and a woman is wailing and shouting, and he has to run so that he can hide from the people. He goes around and starts pacing in front of a hotel, hoping that somebody can pass by and buy him a meal. And on that day, the person that he lists he wishes he could meet finds him. And this is a man called Dabasir who had lent him some money. And he tells him, "Hey, I see you, Roden, and I am very glad because I think you must be ready to pay my debt today." And Rodan is saying, "Man, what bad luck I have, because this is the man I shouldn't have met. And here he is asking for me to pay his money." And he confesses and tells him, "I have not found any good luck. I am not able to pay. I don't have any means." And Dabasir tells him, "Hey, I am coming to have my meal in this hotel. Just come and I'll tell you a story as I have my meal." So this man goes and orders a succulent leg of lamb for himself. And he sits and starts eating. And he tells the hotel waiter, "Please give my friend here a liter of water because I have a story to tell him." And this Rodan is so hungry. And he is watching as Dabasir is demolishing this leg of lamb and not giving him a piece of bread. And he begins to tell him a story. And other people come by to listen because they knew Dabasir as a very successful camel trader. And Dabasir begins to tell this story. He says that he started out life and he was doing very well with his job. He had a wife and children. And he began borrowing from people so that he could please himself and buy good things for his wife and family. And soon enough, he had borrowed so much from everybody that there was nobody else to borrow from, and he could not repay the money that he had borrowed from all these people. So much pressed by his debt, he left the country and went to look for work within amongst the desert with other traders. While there, he fell into the way of a gang of robbers. And before long, to cut the story short, they were caught and found themselves in a lot of trouble. And he was finally sold as a slave. And the person who bought him went and offered his wife this man and told him, "Hey, if any of you needs an extra eunuch, you can have this young man and deal with him as you wish." And they were basically not interested. But the very first wife decided, "Okay, ask this man. I would have really wanted to go and see my father. He's been unwell, but I don't have anybody to lead my camels. If he knows anything about leading camels, I would have him for my servant." And sure enough, that is how Dabasir found himself with a job, not as a eunuch in the king's wife's family, but as the one to be leading the camels for the first wife. And they went and she saw her sick mother, the mother it was, and they came back. And she noticed that this man was different from the other slaves because you'd never sit amongst them. You'd always be reflective on his own. And this wife called Sarah one day asked him, "Why do you do this? Why don't you join the other slaves?" And he told him, "It's because I'm not a slave. I am a free man. Only my bad manners got me into trouble, and I found myself sold as a slave." And Sarah told him, "I can understand you because I do not have children, and I'm the eldest wife, and my husband no longer regards me much, so I'm also quite lonely, just as you are." And she advised him and told him, "Do you have the heart of a slave or the heart of a free man?" And the man considered and said, "Surely I think I have the heart of a free man." And Sarah told him, "If you have the heart of a free man, then I will give you a chance for you to save yourself. And so Sarah decides to go and see her mother again, and this time orders 2 camels to be packed with a lot of stuff, and off they went with Dabasir. But when they reached her parents' home, she told Dabasir, this is your chance. Take the 2 camels that you come with all the provisions I've carried, and walk and find your way to freedom. And Dabasir starts the longest journey in the desert. He doesn't know where he is. He just has a hunch that if he keeps on moving north, he'll end up back in Babylon. And that's what he does. A tedious journey that takes days and days. They go out of water, they go out of food. His camels are all sore. And finally, when they fall down and he's ready to die, he wakes up with a breeze of the morning, and a new determination is in him, and he remembers the words of Sarah. Do you have the soul of a slave or the soul of a free man? He finally picks himself up. The camels seem to get strength from his own determination, and finally they start trudging on at a terrible pace. They were lucky to finally find some water, and they managed to reach Babylon, where Dabasir went, and he was determined to make sure that every piece of debt he had borrowed would be paid, and that his wife, who had already returned to her parents, would come back to him, and he would be an honorable man again. And I will read a small portion of what he says about that final part of his journey. We found water, so surely where there is a will, there is a way. We passed into a more fertile country where there were grass and fruit. We found the trail to Babylon because the soul of a free man looks at life as a series of problems to be solved and solves them, while the soul of a slave whines, what can I do who am but a slave? So the lesson for today is, whatever your circumstances, face them head on. Remind yourself that you have a soul of a free man who is willing to walk out of your problems, whatever they may be, and go to prosperity. And that is the coaching minute for today. As always, reach out for a helping hand. And if you can, hold someone else's too. Thank you.